Well, we did it. We went to Sun World Bonner Hills, and we got there before they opened, and we took a number of escalator rides up the mountain. Thank the Lord for escalators, is all I can say. We're on the cable car, Russ, in Bonner Hills,
Here we go.
and we're about to head out right now.
Oh!
Wow.
That water.
We're in the car by ourselves. We don't know how we work that out. We understand this is about a 15 to 20 minute ride. This is the world's longest cable car. So the weather today is fantastic. We can see quite a ways. So yeah, we're just gonna enjoy this ride. Oh, here's a waterfall. Nice.
You get all in.
I just noticed here on the tram that they have actual motion sickness bags in case you need them. So hopefully we won't need those. But the views are just fabulous. They're just great. You can see all the other cable cars over there in the distance, going to different areas. I think there's probably 5 or 6 cable cars here in the park. So we think we're on the right cable car. We're trying to get to the hand bridge, so we'll see. Sorry about the glare, but you can see they are still expanding. Lots of buildings still going on up here. But so far, very impressive on what we've seen. Now we're on cable car number 2, headed over to the Golden Bridge or Hand Bridge. Don't make the mistake we did and get on the wrong cable car first thing in the morning. We got on cable car number 4, which appears to be the longest cable car, but you should get on cable car number 1 if you're wanting to go directly to the Hand Bridge for those early morning shots. So we're unsure how many thousands of people are going to be over here when we get here. It's still just a little after 8, so the park is just now officially opening. As we got off the Golden Bridge, or as I call it, the Hand Bridge, these other statues were just behind it. the arms and legs and the face here in the fountain. They had tons of flowers all over this portion of the park, which is also known as Land of the Moon. There's several different exhibits in this section that you reach by cable car. Apparently they're having a flower festival at Bonnet Hills through May of 2025. Russell and I talked. We can't imagine how many gardeners it takes to keep this place in pristine condition. I can't even imagine the work that goes into it. I know on Reddit and some other places there have been some negative reviews from people, and we were uncertain about going to Bonnet Hills, honestly, because we spent the most money on anything we spent in Vietnam was to attend or to visit this particular park. I would say within the first 10 minutes, we looked at each other and said, if we don't see anything else today, we've gotten our money's worth. To me, the cable car ride was worth what we paid, not to mention all the other things that we got to do. We got there, as I said early. Google, for some reason, shows it an hour and 45-minute drive from Da Nang. So if you're staying in Da Nang, I don't know why it does that. It only took us about 40 minutes in our Grab to get there. So keep that in mind. We actually got there before 7 o'clock and the park did not open until 8. But it worked out for us because we were one of the first few people on the hand bridge, which was excellent. We were excited about that. Some angel trumpet vines here, and they were all over the park as well. Just garden after garden after garden. This is leading down to the French garden or the French section of the park. And they had this display here. There's I guess I'm not sure if that's a monkey or something that they had made out of different types of flowers. And as you turn the curve, there is some squirrels. And the only thing that wasn't real in the garden were the trees and the squirrels. Everything else was real, but it looked like they had used artificial things to make the squirrels and these particular animals in the display here, as well as the trees. They were not real either. A little bit further up, and they had all of these columbine plants in full bloom, which were beautiful. And then you enter into this sunflower field where they have a sunflower, I guess, statue. And they actually, the day that we were there, they had this young lady dressed up, I guess, as a sunflower princess. She was very pretty, and she was posing for photos with folks. And then they had several gardens around, so I'll just kind of walk through those and show those to you. Literally, it seemed like every corner you turned, there was just more streams, more waterfalls, more fountains, more gardens. It was just amazing. We asked ourselves, and discussed who in the world made the decision that on top of this mountain would become what it is today. It's just amazing. This is in front of Lunar Castle, and we've watched a lot of videos about Bonna Hills before coming, and we only found one that really mentioned much about what was going on in Lunar Castle. And in our opinion, this is where all the excitement was happening. There, as soon as you walk in the door, you're going to see some video games or some games that you can participate in. But this is where they have the virtual ride. If you've ever been to Disney and ridden Soar, this ride is very similar to that. I believe that we waited maybe just about 3 or 4 minutes to get inside the ride itself, and the ride lasted about 5 minutes. So I'm going to show you just a snippet of it here. That ride was awesome. And Russell and I talked, and the best comparison that we can give to this building and to most of the buildings at Bonna Hills are probably Las Vegas casino style. This was another movie that we went to inside Leonard Castle, which was a 3D movie. I just didn't show you any of that. So there are lots of different activities in Lunar Castle itself. So make sure that you're taking the time, if you're at Bonna Hills, to go there. Alpine coasters were another thing. They have 3 or 4 of them, and they're not that expensive. You can see the prices there on your screen. We both rode one, but unfortunately, they would not let us record as we were actually riding the coasters. This is kind of the German beer garden area, and they have a lot of fountains here as well, and some rose gardens over behind us. It was just a very interesting place. We were not able to go into the garden itself. They were having a concert at the time. Apparently, they have live music throughout the day at different times, so you just kind of have to check that out. This is the rose garden. Unfortunately, it wasn't in full bloom when we were there. I can imagine how beautiful it is when it is in bloom. We did get over to the side here, and there were a couple of blooms that we were able to look at. They appeared to be English roses, but the building next to it was covered in this ivy. We just kept talking about how much detail all of the buildings here have. Some of them look like you're in the French countryside. Some look medieval. This particular rose here is being trained to grow on kind of, I call it an umbrella skeleton, maybe, for aesthetics. You've got just other detail here in this garden. These rocks that kind of look like I guess, a meandering river or stream, which I thought was very pretty. No details spared in this facility at all that we could tell. Everything was just perfection, very clean. The restrooms were clean. The restaurants appeared to be clean. Here are some roses that I was talking about. And then I'm going to swing around here to the side. There was one that was kind of an orange and a yellow looking rose that was very pretty in bloom. Believe it or not, for all you Jurassic Park fans, they even had kind of a walkthrough display of Jurassic life, I guess. It had some animatronic dinosaurs and some interesting facts about the animals that were on display there, or the animatronics, not actual animals, obviously.
We did take lunch at one of the buffets that were offered. We went to the Four Seasons buffet, which was excellent. It had a lot of food, more than you could ever eat for sure. I think it cost us $13 for the buffet, so it was well worth it. If you don't do the buffet, you can choose from multiple restaurants, or I would call them street vendors that were there, not really street, but there within the park that you can purchase food from. As you can see, there are all kinds of rides and different things within the park. Again, I think a lot of times people just don't really explore and have missed a lot of this. This was kind of a Gothic cathedral that was built. Again, just look at the detail. This is just in the middle of kind of the square, and they left nothing to be desired as far as the interior of this facility. There's a little Juliet or Romeo and Juliet balcony here on the right. It was funny, a lot of people were standing out here and having their picture taken. Russ is down there on the bench getting his breath while I went in and got some pictures. So, again, this was just another example of how this park really, I mean, 10 out of 10 as far as the design and the attention to detail and everything that they did. As you're coming back down and exiting, you're going to come across all of these wonderful koi ponds and these Japanese gardens that are at the entrance. They were pretty spectacular. The koi were just great. There were tons of them everywhere. I guess in conclusion, we would say that we feel like Bonnet Hills is definitely worth the money. As we said earlier in the video, we felt like if all you were able to do was the gondola ride, we got our money's worth. I guess the best piece of advice to give to anyone thinking about going to Bonnet Hills is to plan ahead. Look at the forecast. Obviously, if it's going to be a cloudy, drizzly, or rainy day, I would probably forego Bonnet Hills and go another day. But just if you make a little bit of planning with the weather, I think you'll have a fantastic time like we did, and we certainly felt like it was worth the money. And make sure and check out those places at Lunar Castle, which we feel like many people don't even know about. We talked to a lot of people there that day, and they didn't even know those rides existed. So, yeah, do your research as usual. And if you're in Da Nang, check out Bonnet Hills. Thanks and have a blessed day.